Pat Ford launched himself over it. There we see Elliott Stafford wedging his way up through between them, and there's Pat Ford and Jonathan Lewis going round the outside into paddock for the first time. Brave moves in these minis. A lot of talent out there. Pat Ford, Jonathan Lewis in four. Jonathan trying the outside line going up into third. It won't work, but if you can stay with him, it'll actually pay dividends as they come down the hill towards Graham Hill. However, Pat Ford, Jonathan Lewis has slotted in behind Pat Ford, but look at car 51, that turquoise coloured car of Elliott Stafford. He's making a move, and Gary Patterson is the man that's lost out, going from first to fourth in that just a couple of corners. We've got Ben joining me back up here, and no doubt he'll be. And look at Alex Thomas all sideways, very well avoided by Dave Reese there in car 7. That plays into the hands of Peter Cruz in car 46. Peter Cruz moves up from last place up at least one place, and in Mike's Minis terms, gaining a place is fantastic news. But look at Pat Ford and Jonathan Lewis. They've broken away from the rest of the pack. What these guys have to do, as we said earlier on when we were watching this race, Ben, is stop squabbling with themselves and take the race to the two at the front. Otherwise, they're going to run away with it. But Pat Ford in the lead after the lap one.
Well, I was going to say, Roger, that watching fragments of the start as I ran upstairs, you could see that, unlike the Mighty race, they didn't get too involved at the start. They decided, right, we'll slot into position. We've got 20 minutes to sort ourselves out. And then Elliott Stafford is well, not actually split back onto the Mighty Scott Kendall, Gary Patterson, then to Patrick Lewis over challenges in the lead of the race. So Patrick Ford, so let's not get qualified plumb last yesterday morning. He finished second in race one. He didn't lead the race two. Jonathan Lewis, the man who was previously behind Comtech Motorsport, and
Lewis, he is all over the back of Pat Ford. This is actually going to be fantastic because but Jonathan Lewis definitely wants to win, if not lead this race. And what is that will actually do is, if you look at car 10, David Kirkpatrick, he's now bringing Gary Patterson and Scott Kendall in car 1 back into the fray. However, we see the guy is really losing out. The championship leader at the moment, car 51 there. Elliott Stafford was complaining of an intermittent misfire. Maybe he's suffering from that again, but he is falling back. A guy making up an awful lot of room so far is David Burney in car 6, doing very, very well. But let's take our hat off to the James Lyford there in car 48. Considering that car was absolutely spread all over the paddock in bits last night, for them to actually get it back together and get out there, fantastic news.
It really is. As Lewis goes through, he takes the lead on the inside of Patrick Ford as they go to Surtees, and that's a fairly bold move. So Jonathan Lewis is, as you say, Roger, vastly experienced motorsport man, both with competing and managing teams, so he does know a few tricks of the trade. I think Patrick Ford may just be getting a little bit frustrated about this because the result of their dicing and Jonathan Lewis not really being content to sit in behind Patrick Ford in the early stages is that David Kirkpatrick, Gary Patterson and Scott Kendall are very much there in attendance. So we've got the gap back to Elliott Stafford, who, I agree with you, Roger, he's just looked a little bit on song this year. He won 3 of the races prior to coming to Brands Hatch, and he's about to go down possibly to David Burney. So Lewis is leading the race, and actually it's good enough run to himself and Patrick Ford. I'm sure that will disappear as they turn to endurance through it. Gary Patterson is now maybe actually trying to play past David Kirkpatrick. I think there's an awful lot more that's going to happen in this race before we get to the checker flag. So only a quarter of the way through. We've got 15 minutes left on the clock. We've got 3 of them wide into Paddock Hill Bend. It's still David Kirkpatrick, Gary Patterson to stay, and Scott Kendall to stay. And for David Kirkpatrick gets to that point where they verify stopping the safety. Gary Patterson actually think, well, if Gary's got the legs, let him punch the hole through the air and let him come on to Taylor Patrick Ford, because Ford and Lewis can drive away, and the 3 of them in third are really looking like that's the position they may end up finishing unless they start to really close in. As we have a big slide from Gary Patterson through Graham Hill Bend, he cans it up into one piece. And Scott Kendall, well, unable to really capitalise on that, because I think he was going to wonder whether he was going to see the rear of a car as he exited the corner on the side of one.
Absolutely. Well, again, as we were saying, look at what you were quite right about the fact that these cars need to start working together now, because it is still only 15 minutes. It's still 15 minutes to go, which is a fair amount of time. But one of the things you missed earlier, Ben, David Burney is now through from Elliott Stafford. So Elliott Stafford definitely limping here this afternoon. He's very good in the wet, very good in the dry, and the car's very well sorted out. So he's obviously, this misfire is really affecting him, and he's very frustrated about it.
Yeah, you can really see that as well. He's just slipping back down the order. So David Burney is now going to try and really get himself on to Scott Kendall. That's a big arm at the moment. Jonathan Lewis, now he's got him to lead the race. He's does exactly that through Lewis. He moves 2 or so cars away from the apex. He finds the grip, and he actually gains probably 2 kilometres over Patrick Ford in that one corner. He attempts to do the same thing through Grenfell Bend. That's a bit more difficult, whereas Patrick Ford and David Kirkpatrick take the conventional racing line, and therefore it rather does look like dancing on ice, but with minis as they slide through the corner. They remain as they are, and I'm sure they're having a great deal of fun sliding that car, but in fact, in terms of actually challenging for victory here, it's rather costing them.
Well, you see car 41, that's Alex Comis there with that British flag logo on the car, or not logo, but paint job on the car, and car 7, David Rees, having a little ding-dong battle. They're very, very good friends, both from the Birmingham area, and it's great to see the two of them having a great laugh. However, it was Alex Comis who went sideways that upset Dave Rees's challenge. And where is Peter Cruz? Have we seen Peter Cruz, or is Peter Cruz off? I think we may have lost Peter Cruz, actually. Having said that, Ben, have you seen Peter Cruz going around? I've not seen him.
Probably sure, anyway. So, it's very close to David Kirkpatrick goes off and into the tyre barrier at Hannibal Bend, and that's unfortunate. So it's not been a good weekend for Kirkpatrick, because we lost Nevin yesterday, and unfortunately David has gone into the tyre barrier, so that eliminates him from first position. So that puts the fight on now between Scott Kendall and Kirkpatrick. A spin from Patrick Ford, and they all drive one into T-bone from Scott Kendall into Patrick Ford, and so it's Scott Kendall who comes off worse for it, because Patrick Ford, as if nothing happens, just drives on his way. Scott Kendall, well, it was a low-speed impact, so he drives on his way as well. So it's all happening as all the protagonists who were fighting over third have run sorted themselves out. What it means is that it's now Gary Patterson second and Elliot Stafford into third, with Dave Purdy in fourth.
And Jonathan Lewis leading by a country mile. He must be smiling from ear to ear. This is his first season in Super Mighty Minis, and I think a win today would certainly go down very well indeed. But Gary Patterson, who won yesterday in second position, but look at this absolute dogfight that's going on behind here now. This is where it's going to happen for anybody except the real excitement. David Purdy moves to the outside. Will he dummy him? No! Elliot Stafford smart enough to get on the brakes early and just drive it through the paddock fairly nicely, rather than going there too quickly. David Kirkpatrick out of the car, and I'm fairly sure that he's okay. That was just a minor bump into it, but I'm sure we're going to look at a new wing and a new door for sure on that car. Shame, as you said, with the Kirkpatrick brothers not actually finishing here this weekend. But over to you, Ben, as Elliot Stafford comes down towards Graham Hill Bay.
Yeah, thanks very much, Roger. Well, this is exactly what we were expecting to see, a train of minis running together. I think possibly the way this train has formed is slightly unconventional, following a T-bone. And it's great to see Scott Kendall is still there, sliding through Grenfell Bend. Patrick Ford is there, and Patrick Ford's still in with a very good shout for finishing on the podium here, because Elliot Stafford, who I think we have seen ailing slightly this weekend, although that misfire may just have, if not righted itself, then at least become less intermittent, because